Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since we posted a new video, but we definitely cannot miss creating one for the latest iteration of one of our favorite devices on this channel, the Xiaomi TV Box S, which is now on its third generation. In this video, we'll look into the key changes in this device compared to the second generation, and give an overview of how it stacks up against the current slew of other streaming boxes out there. If you're also thinking about upgrading, we hope this video gives you some helpful insight when making your decision. But before we jump in, we'd really appreciate if you could like this video and consider subscribing to the channel, as it helps us keep creating insightful videos for everyone. The Xiaomi TV Box S 3rd Gen was released in March 2025, succeeding the previous version that came out in 2023. This is already the third generation, with the first one having been released in 2018. The packaging across generations look very similar, with only subtle changes from one release to the next. At a glance, it's easy to miss which generation each box is, especially since the labeling is small and tucked in the upper left corner. Good thing the 3rd Gen box is mostly white, it makes it easier to tell apart from the older ones. Now let's open it up and see what's inside. We're greeted with the familiar puck design, but unlike the previous generation's sharper edges, the 3rd Gen has a smoother, more rounded look, almost like a pebble. According to Xiaomi's spec sheet, the 3rd Gen is slightly larger and thicker than the previous generation, but it actually looks smaller and sleeker, thanks to its curved design and tapered shape. The 3rd generation is also significantly lighter at 91.2 grams, compared to 142 grams for the previous version. That's around 35% reduction in weight, which can be helpful if you're planning to mount the device behind your TV. Another noticeable change is the removal of the audio output port in the 3rd generation. The 2nd Gen included a combo digital and analog audio port, which you could use to connect to a stereo system or Toslink input. That option is now gone. Audio output is only available through HDMI on the 3rd Gen. This could be a drawback for users with older audio setups that still rely on optical or analog connections. Before we check out the internal specs, let's first take a quick look at the other items included in the box. The power adapter is exactly the same as in the previous version, with a DC barrel connector at the end, rated at 5.2 volts and capable of outputting 10.92 watts. The remote is also unchanged, which is great, because we really like both its design and functionality. We've already gone over it in detail in our previous videos, so feel free to check those out if you haven't seen them yet. The only gripe we have with this remote is that the plastic battery cover came loose after we accidentally dropped it once. We ended up 3D printing a clip to hold the cover in place. So just a heads up, try not to drop it. Now let's go over the 3rd Gen specs to see what's changed under the hood. The device now runs on an Amlogic S905X5M system on chip, featuring a quad-core ARM Cortex-A55 processor clocked at up to 2.5 GHz. According to Xiaomi, this device is 25% faster than the 2nd Gen. Based on CPU performance alone, it slightly edges out the Google TV Streamer 4K and the Fire TV Stick 4K Max 2nd Gen in both single-core and multi-core benchmark scores. The GPU shows even bigger gains, with up to a 130% performance increase over the 2nd Gen, thanks to its Mali G310 V2 GPU. While the device sits in the mid-range among current Android TV devices in terms of price, it still delivers better GPU performance than Google's top-of-the-line Google TV Streamer 4K. This makes the device even better for running emulators and local Android games, if that's something you're into. The storage has been increased from 8 GB in the previous generation to 32 GB, which should really be the minimum for any device released this year. The Wi-Fi has also been upgraded to the newer Wi-Fi 6 protocol, which should help with streaming stability if your router supports it. The only thing that leaves us scratching our heads is the RAM. The 3rd Gen still comes with just 2 GB, the same amount found in both the 1st and 2nd Gen models. While Android TV isn't exactly built for multitasking, having more RAM can still help with things like faster app switching and overall responsiveness. To be fair, the current performance has been smooth during our testing, but it would have been nice to see an upgrade to 4 GB to make the device a bit more future-proof. That's pretty much it for the hardware. But as we always say in our videos, hardware is only half the equation. Software is just as important, since it plays a big role in the overall user experience and how good the device feels during everyday use. The 3rd gen runs on Android tvOS 14 with the Google TV interface, compared to Android tvOS 11 on the previous version. At the time of making this video, this is Google's latest and greatest, at least until Android tvOS 16 rolls out later this year, based on their announced roadmap. Right from the first boot, it's clear how much smoother the UI feels, compared to the previous 2nd gen or even the aging Google Chromecast with Google TV 4K. We feel that the smoother performance can largely be credited to the upgraded CPU and the significantly more powerful GPU. The newer processor handles navigation and animations more efficiently, while the beefier GPU likely plays a big role in rendering transitions and UI elements more quickly and fluidly. However, since the Home UI is now updated through the Google Play Store, there isn't much of a visual difference compared to the previous version. Even though the 2nd gen runs on the older Android tvOS 11, its Home UI was also updated. So visually, both look nearly identical. You'll only notice the difference in how they feel, especially in terms of responsiveness and fluidity. Here's a comparison of the 2nd gen and 3rd gen shown next to each other. Visually, it's really hard to tell them apart. You'll only notice the difference when using the remote and seeing how smoothly it scrolls. While the interface looks nearly identical, the 3rd gen clearly feels more responsive and fluid. And after several weeks of use, we haven't experienced any slowdowns or hiccups so far, unlike the occasional stutters we noticed on the 2nd gen. It gets even more interesting when we compare it with the Google TV streamer. Visually, there's almost no difference at all. That said, for some reason, the Google TV streamer feels noticeably more responsive with each remote button press, compared to the latest Xiaomi box. This might be due to the Bluetooth quality of the remote, as it seems to register inputs more instantly than the Xiaomi's. In terms of smoothness and fluidity, both perform equally well, but when it comes to responsiveness, the edge still goes to the Google TV streamer. We're not too surprised though, since the Google TV streamer retails for around $99, which is at a higher price point than the Xiaomi TV Box 3rd gen, priced at around $60. We're also happy to report that the 3rd gen now supports auto frame rate switching, one of the key features we previously complained was missing in the 2nd gen. This feature allows the device to automatically match the video's native frame rate, which results in much smoother playback with less judder, especially when watching movies or shows. We tested it with both Plex and Netflix, and we saw the frame rate adjust automatically depending on the content, just as it should. Overall, we really like the Xiaomi TV Box S 3rd gen. We think it punches above its price point, and stands out as one of the better mid-tier Android TV devices available right now for most people. It delivers solid performance, good hardware, and useful features, especially at around $60. However, one thing to keep in mind is that future Android TV updates aren't guaranteed. Xiaomi's track record with software support on the previous generation was a bit inconsistent. While the 2nd gen did receive a couple of updates, there were instances where updates, like Android tvOS 12, were released, and later pulled back without a clear explanation. So while the device is great out of the box, long-term software support may be uncertain. With the recent release of newer ONN streaming devices this year, the Xiaomi TV Box S 3rd gen will have some real competition in the budget to mid-range space. These Walmart-backed devices offer impressive specs for the price and could easily challenge the 3rd gen in terms of value and performance. However, there's a catch, as they're currently region-locked to the US and a few select regions, which means they can't be used internationally without some workarounds. That could be a deal-breaker for international users who just want a straightforward and hassle-free experience. Let us know in the comments if you'd like us to get our hands on these devices for a future review, and maybe even compare them directly with the Xiaomi box. Also, tell us which device you're planning to get, or if there's anything else you'd like us to cover. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.